Hello, welcome to the Loney Show. I'm your host, John Malone. In this episode, we don't have any regulars because, well, they're off doing something with their lives. As for our guest, he is from Canada. He is a retired businessman, but now he's currently a full-time author. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Peter Ponsa.
Yes. Good morning. How are you
Wanted you
today?
to. Great. How's life with you?
Very good. We have a nice sunny day here in Canada, and I think we're plus 5 Celsius today. And I'm hoping to get out and have a walk after this afternoon when the weather's a little better.
Hmm, sweet, sweet.
Yeah.
Have you been up to much recently?
I have been doing a number of different interviews. I had one recently with Amy and Russell Little. Very nice one. I was really impressed with the way they behaved. They were very, very professional. Apparently, their podcast is one of the greatest, one of the best, I should say, on the internet at the moment. Um, Maybe perhaps yours is just as good. Then I also have something coming up on the Mystery Theater with the NBC with Alan Warren on tomorrow night, I believe. And that's an interesting one too. Um, So I've had a few interviews here and there, and the book is kind of getting some mileage. We've had a launch on March the 19th. We had a fair amount of people show up, which was very nice. We had, a nice layout with some uh, some snacks and some water and some coffee, and in fact, some people brought some wine. So it was a very good afternoon. I had another author, Diane Bader, who's the regional director for the Crime Writers of Canada. She was interviewing me at the time, so it turned out to be a very good Q&A with a lot of very interesting people asking some very nice questions. So all in all, it's been a very good journey so far.
Wow, you've been very busy, that's for sure.
Sometimes you wonder if it's just going to stop for a minute so you can take a breath.
Okay, sounds good. So tell me more about what you do for a living.
At the moment, I'm retired now. It's been 10 years. I did have a dental supply company that I was involved in. I was the CEO, and my wife was managing. We had it for about 23 years, and we had an exclusive arrangement for a German company to be their distributors across Canada. And during that time, that's where I started writing a little bit. Just for your listeners, I started doing some newsletters because I thought it would be great to get across to our customers some of the information we had to share. And then while we were doing that, one of the people we came across was a publisher of dental journals, and he suggested I do advertising with him. So we did, and I started writing articles alongside these articles, these advertisements, and then that started getting a little bit interesting as well. And then after we sold the company about 10 years ago, um, I had an opportunity, a writer's workshop, almost the same day that I signed the papers. Well, it was actually the next day. And my wife was kidding with me. She says, the ink is still wet on, on the sales agreement and you want to start writing. I said, well, sure, why not? So I went to this workshop. It was actually quite a nice workshop. We had maybe about 3 or 4 of them in a row every weekend, I believe, at the library. And that's kind of spurred me on to starting to write. So that's what I've been doing. Like lately, it's just been writing more or less. Now that
Okay, sounds
now that I'm retired, right?
no, okay, sounds good. And as an author, what books have written so far?
I've just written the first one, which is Outfoxed. I'm working on the second one. There is a series that I'm trying to organize. I've decided to give myself a goal where I'm going to be doing 4 more. So there's going to be 5 of the Inspector William Fox adventure series. And like I said, I'm just on the second one now.
All right, then sounds good. And what is this book series about?
Well, this particular one that I started with is um, kind of like an international thriller, and but it starts off with a premise that is going back to about the 15th century, where the Chinese had launched a big, what would they call it now? Some sort of an exploratory, um, seaworthy type of fleet that was going around the world, and it was led by an admiral Zen He. These treasure ships were supposed to be going around collecting and giving booty, or not booty, but something along those lines, to the treasures to other countries, and they were supposed to be opening up all of these countries along the Asian coast. And well, it's been told by some people that perhaps Admiral Zenhei had made it in the United States, and so I had this wild idea that maybe perhaps they left treasure in Nova Scotia. So I created some characters. Tracy Jordan was an archaeologist who her father sent to China to explore and see if there's any information they could find about whether this treasure was indeed real. And while she was there, the Fudot gang captured her, and then her boyfriend of many years, William Fox, decides to go after her. Actually, her father suggested they go after her and see if they could find her, and he's the RCMP investigator, and he teams up with Patrick Riley, who's FBI, and they go to China to rescue her, which they do. And of course, then afterwards, they're after the Fudao gang, and the Fudao gang is all over the country. They start from China, Hong Kong to New York to Nova Scotia, and that's where they have the big, pretty well the big fight where they have to. Well, I don't want to keep everybody. Um, I would like to keep everybody more or less excited about the book, so I shall wait until they buy it and read it. But that's about as far as I want to take it. It's a rather exciting kind of story because there's a subcultural story too. There's a sub story about the Chinese government too, and that kind of flows through the whole thing. It's good.
All right then, sounds very good. And what of your background and experiences as a businessman before you retired?
Yes. What What would you like to know about that?
Just anything in general.
Well, there. I started off as a dental technician, as a matter of fact, and I worked in a number of dental laboratories where I've learned to have a certain expertise when it comes to making appliances. And on one of my trips to Germany, I got my family got lost, and I noticed there was a dental lab there, which I decided I would take a walk into and speak to the owner and see what kind of life they were living compared to the ones in Canada. And they were saying, "Well, this is what we have." They showed me some product line, which I thought was really interesting, something I'd never. So when I got back home after my vacation, I approached a company in Germany and I asked them whether they had a distributor, and they said, "Yeah, we do have one, but they're really not working out that well." I said, "Look, I'd like to take it over." And I flew back to Germany. I spent a week working with them. They trained me. We signed a contract. I came back and I started bootstraps with this distributorship. And over the 23 years, we built it up to quite a big company. And while I was working, I was learning. And every time I needed to um, learn a little bit more, pardon me, I was involved with the Harvard Business Review. I was getting magazines. Every time I had a chance to take a business course, I would. When I felt that I needed some more confidence, I took some courses with Anthony Robbins, who was a motivational speaker. He helped me a lot getting forward. And then I also took some Bob, I think it was speaking engagements where I learned how to speak in front of the public. And so I was doing seminars as well. So as I was growing my business, I was actually growing myself as well. So that as I progressed, some of the things I needed to help me do my business was also something I was picking up as I was going along. So by the time my 23 years was up, I actually had a lot of business acumen because as you're as you're working and meeting your customers. I was doing cold calls and traveling across Canada and doing conventions. The more people I met, the more I talked, the more you learn, and the more you get comfortable. And after a while, you become a seasoned business person.
Brilliant. Do you prefer headphones or earbuds?
I prefer earphones. I've got Apple Pods, iPods, or Apple Pods, and they never stay in. I don't know about you, but I prefer the earphones. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. What can you give a 40-minute presentation on without any preparation?
Hmm. Now that's an interesting question. Most of us, I think, believe have a lot of things we can say. I probably could probably there's some stories I could say probably about my years in the car appreciation. I'm a British car aficionado, and I do have, and I've been through a number of different car show, car shows, and pardon me, and a little bit of racing, and I've been with a number of car clubs as well. So I think that would be something I could probably stand up and try to wing it if I could.
Hmm, okay, sounds good. What app can you not believe someone hasn't made yet?
Well, that's a question I'm not sure I can answer. I'm sure there's tons of good ones out there that would be very applicable, but I can't think of anyone that or any app that I'm missing at the moment.
Okay, that's all right. What's your favorite ice cream topping?
My favorite ice cream topping, um, probably butterscotch syrup or something like that.
All right then. If you could use magic to do one task for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Snapping my fingers and making that happen.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, it's simple.
Fair enough.
Excuse me.
If you can get an exotic pet, what kind of companion would you like to have?
Probably a Bengal tiger.
Fabulous. If you had a song for every time you enter the room, what song would that be?
Oh, for sure, it would be the Beatles and Paperback Writer. I love that song. I mean, I could just see myself walking in the room and that Beatles song going Paperback Writer. I just that just it nails it right there for me.
Ah, yes, I can certainly see that. What's your favorite season?
It would, excuse me. It would have to be summer,
Me too.
and the reason is that I love convertibles. I've had a convertible every year since I was a youngster. First time I could afford one, and I just wait for that so that I can at least get out there and drop the top and have some fun.
Yep, so do I. What is your favorite drink?
Right now, it's Heineken Zero. I used to enjoy a good Scotch, and one of my favorites was the Balvenie, and I've also used to like the Lafroy once in a while. But I've gotten away from drinking hard liquor. I thought it'd be have a healthier lifestyle, so I've gone to the non-alcoholic wine and the non-alcoholic beer, and I do love some of the German beers too. There's a Klauhauster, which is a zero, and a few others, and they're just wonderful. Um, and I've also like we just came back from Costa Rica. We are there for about 3 weeks, and I just happened to find out that Imperial, which is one of the better brands down there, has also a zero as well, like 36 degrees Celsius weather. That is such a refreshing thing to drink during the day. So, yeah,
Oh,
I'd have to say it's the zero beer.
okay, sounds good. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Well, it's probably going to be Canada because it has everything I really like. It's got the four seasons. and it's got the freedom that you can have. It's a great democracy. Although in the winter times, it's a little bit awkward. So I go down to Costa Rica for about 3 weeks to recharge my batteries. So if I had my way, I'd have it half and half. If that's a half decent answer.
Yep, sounds good to me. What was the last book you read?
Okay, I believe it was a portrait of a woman or by Daniel Silva. Oh no, no, no! There was one after that, The Biloxi Boys by David Baldacci. Yeah, that was the last one. I thought that was quite good too.
Oh, alright then. What kind of music do you often listen to?
I have quite a selection of music I listen to, but my go-to music is usually smooth jazz because it's nice and easy. Um, if I'm really in one of those raunchy moods, I just put some nice rock and roll from the '70s on when I drop the top and just let it roll.
Sweet. What was the strangest dream you've ever had?
Well, I can't answer that directly because I get so many of them. They're all pretty wild. Um, I can't really say. So many of them, to tell you the truth, and I really not one really stands out specifically.
Okay, that's okay. And this is coming from the top of my head. Have you ever thought about sending mail to Bigfoot?
Well, first of all, to send mail to Bigfoot, he'd have to be alive, and he'd have to have an address. And actually, I'm not a believer that Bigfoot exists, so no, I wouldn't send him any mail.
Alright, yep, fair enough. It all makes sense. What's the best thing you've bought off Amazon?
The best thing I bought off Amazon, okay, I'm gonna tell you that I got myself a brand new microphone, a Yeti, and I'm speaking through it right now. And this is one of the most terrific things I've ever had to work with. I love it.
Oh, well, it's the quality is fabulous.
Yeah, and you know what? I love it because I have Prime. I watch Prime on my screen, and then I've got all of this stuff I ever want to buy. I can just order it, and we're using them quite often. But this is like right now. This has got to be the best thing I've ever purchased recently.
Sweet. Where do you see yourself 20 years from now?
Well, I'd like to see myself really taking it easy, but I'd also like to see myself on my books on every bookshelf in the world. I mean, that sounds kind of like wow, but 20 years, a lot of things can happen. But yeah, I'd like to be able to be quite quite renowned, and I'd like my books to be appreciated, and yeah, I'd like my name to mean something when it comes to literature, and I hope that my journey takes me there. But it's going to take a while to get there. 20 years is a long time, but during that time, if the good Lord blesses me and I'm still alive, yeah, I'm pretty sure by then I'm going to want to be taking it easy, whatever that may be at the time.
Yeah, yeah. What would you choose as the eighth wonder of the world?
On this planet or outside this planet, um,
Anywhere.
anywhere. Well, it would have to probably be a view from one of our satellites floating around the circumference of our planet and looking down. I think that's a wonder to behold.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, yes, that does make a lot of sense. When things break, do you prefer to fix them or replace them?
That all depends. There are some things that can be fixable very simply. Um, I've got tubes of crazy glue in my fridge, and if it can be fixed, I'll do it right away. But if it takes a lot of time and effort, which I don't have, I won't. And as a matter of fact, I do have a riding tractor because I do have a substantial amount of lawn I have to cut here. and actually is going to be picked up and get fixed and repaired because I'm not doing it. I used to do it, but when you run out of time, you really have to consider what's important, your time for what you're really good at, and what other people are good at. You can actually farm it out and give it to them because they'll do it better than you would, and you won't get frustrated, and you won't get angry with yourself. I mean, there's limits on how much you can actually accomplish by yourself. But if you feel like there are people who are really quite good at doing things around the home, and they're sufficient enough to be able to fix things. I have to pick. I pick and choose basically what's going to be done and what isn't going to be done.
Fabulous. Brilliant. If you could have a never-ending candle that smelled like anything you wanted, what fragrance would you want it to be?
Hmm. I like incense, and I think my favorite is Magchumpa. So I think it would be that one. I often like if I meditate, I will put that incense on, and you know what? It runs out pretty quick. But if you had a long-lasting candle, yeah, that definitely would be the fragrance I would want.
Hmm, sweet. If you could turn any activity into an Olympic sport, what would you have a good chance at winning a medal for?
Well, again, that's a really interesting question. I really don't think I could win anything, quite frankly. Um, at an Olympic sport, I mean, there was a time when I was a reasonably good martial artist, and I have won some trophies um, for patterns and that. If I went back to it, maybe perhaps in my age and my stage, I probably could. If I practiced enough, I could probably do my katas or my patterns, and might perhaps maybe I could win. Who knows? But it would have to be a big transition for sure.
Hmm, cool. What's the best way to start the morning?
Oh, definitely with a cup of Sumatra coffee. Yeah, most definitely. That gets the old eyeballs rolling, and the mind buzzing.
Oh, yes, it sure does. If you had to bury a treasure chest, where would you hide it?
Well, I have plenty of property here. I would find something close by, or maybe not. But there's like plenty of areas here that I could probably bury it in. I certainly wouldn't take it to somewhere popular, that's for sure. Or maybe Arizona. But anyways, I think around here, I wouldn't want to be too far away from it, just in case I want to dig it up.
Yeah, I can see that. What is your favorite type of day?
I like picnics, so my favorite type of day is to pack a picnic, take the convertible, find a nice little spot by the riverside, have our picnic, and just kind of lean back and enjoy the sun and the sky, and just relax. And when we're finished, just jump back in the car and have a nice drive back with the top in the air, the wind blowing in your face. And yeah, that to me is the ultimate.
Sweet. What were the silliest things you believed as a child?
Oh, besides the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus and all that stuff, um, there's so many it's hard to list because when we're kids, we almost believe pretty well almost anything people have told you. But I guess some sort of mysticism, boogeymen, I guess, are probably the one that we are most believable. I mean, our most believable characters.
Okay, then. Very good. Very good. If you could create your own job title, what would it be?
A job title that I would. The hard thing to do about answering that is that you'd have to be a master of something, and but a master of nothing, because after all, you're always learning and educating, and you're also doing the same thing yourself. If you teach someone, you're also learning. So the job title would be very difficult to explain. Do you know where I'm coming from with that?
Yeah, I know what you're coming from, and It all makes a lot of sense, for sure. And that is all we have for this episode. It was great to have you on, Peter, talking about your works as an author, what you did as a businessman, and a lot of other things. It's been great.
Okay, well, I'm glad to be a guest, and I'm hoping that your listeners enjoyed what I had to say. And if they need to get in touch with me or want to know where my book is, it's at peterthomas.com, and they can reach me there. Or if they were interested in any books, they're on Amazon and Apple and Kobo and Barnes and Noble. So thank you and appreciate you having me.
Anytime. And until next time, stay tuned for more.